dive into the topics today, I'm gonna quickly introduce myself so you're not like, who's this person standing in front of me talking about this today? So I'm Marie, I'm a holistic nutritionist. I was trained in holistic nutrition in Canada, in Vancouver, Canada. I'm originally French. And I moved here in end of 2019, so it's been over 5 years now. This is a retraining for me. I'm originally from the software industry, and I have a professional degree in technical translation and project management, so nothing to do with all that. But since I discovered a few conditions that affected my health in my 20s, I decided to retrain and to go back to school to sustain my own health. And when I saw the tremendous effects and impacts that this had, I decided to help other people who might need help as well, because I believe in the power of a holistic approach to health, wellness, and just physical well-being in general. And I think that we have great doctors nowadays, we have great surgeons, we have great researchers, we have great pharmaceutical companies, we have great supplements companies, but having someone who can connect the dots for you and understand your own patterns, your own root cause, your own maybe family history, your own genetics, this is something that takes time, dedication, and a lot of attention that most practitioners today don't have the time to dedicate to you. So I'm a little bit of an investigator in terms of health and wellness. So I know my title is nutritionist, but I go way beyond that, and I look at your labs, I look at your patterns, I look at your social environment. So we take the whole person into account, and that's why I think this topic today is very important, because it's not just about physical fitness, right? It's not just about getting leaner, stronger, fitter. It's about feeling better in a holistic way. So that's why I'm here today. Any questions before I dive in? No? It's clear for everybody?
Yes.
Any questions? No?
No, not so far.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Okay, so first of all, what does recovery mean to you? Does anyone have something that pops into the head when they think recovery? What does it mean?
Sleep.
Sleep, okay. So recovery would be doing nothing, basically, or not exercising?
I mean, not per se exercising. I think your body already tells you when you need a break.
Yeah.
So I think if you start listening to our body,
yeah,
but not too much listening, because we don't want to be couch potatoes.
Yeah.
So sleep is important, that if you have a 7 hours, at least minimum 7 hours of sleep, so our body can recover.
Yeah.
And then you don't feel fatigue next day. And if you wake up fatigued and you don't feel good about it in the morning, that means you didn't have a good sleep. So you need to have at least a good sound sleep for a few hours.
So for you, recovery would be like sleep quality, sleep quantity, and the way you feel the next day, whether you're able to take on a new challenge or not, right? Correct? Yeah. Okay. So when we talk about recovery, we really want to be looking at a whole process that is going to happen after a workout. And
no.
Okay, no worries.
I'm not your teacher.
Okay, is it better? Yeah, okay. So what I wanted to point out was that the recovery is not just the part where you don't do anything, it's also the rebuilding that happens after you've put your body under some kind of stress. So it's the rebuilding, refueling, muscle repair, muscle growth, but it's also your hormones rebalancing, and it's also your whole energy systems recharging. So, of course, recovery can mean, today is a rest day, I'm not exercising. Yes, but what are you doing on that day to support your recovery? It's not just not putting any stress on the body, it's supporting it the right way. So that's what we're going to cover today. Okay, so I've tried to do a little bit of an analogy with a strong tree, because you want your body to have really deep, rounded roots to be able to grow tall and strong and to be perfectly healthy, right? So your roots, in terms of physical wellness, physical ability, is going to rely on those pillars that I use in my practice, which are, they sound very basic, so you're gonna be like, oh my God, hydration and rest again. Like, it's always the same thing with those like health people. Yes, it is. But the quality of what you put, for example, the quality of your hydration is gonna be something I can spend like 15, 20 minutes to talk about with my patients. Because it's not just, yeah, just take tap water and just like drink 2 liters a day and you're good to go. No, how much caffeine are you having per day? Okay, this amount of caffeine is depleting twice as much water from your body. So you need to double that amount to actually replete your water. Are you filtering your water? Are you drinking bottled water? Are you, I see everyone taking their jug. Cheers. Are you using electrolytes? If yes, how much? Do you use more on the days that you sweat, that you exercise more, or do you use the same every day? If you're not using electrolytes, how do you make sure you have enough electrolytes compared to what you've been sweating out? If you drink too much water, you're actually losing electrolytes and not replenishing them. Losing electrolytes means your ATP is going to be weaker. So the muscle contraction is going to be weaker because you don't have the electrolytes to actually make that connection. You're going to have poorer, you're going to have water retention. So if you have those, hand swelling or feet swelling at the end of the day, or just when you press and you see that there's water retention in your ankles, in your legs, this is a sign of electrolyte imbalance. So you need to replenish your electrolytes. So yes, hydration, you hear about that every day, but do you go as deep as what I just talked about? Like, do you really ask yourself those questions? And if not, then there is one crucial component of the human body that is not supported, because without proper hydration, it's very, very hard to have proper recovery, because your body obviously needs water for hundreds of metabolic processes, but it also needs proper water to eliminate. So for proper toxin elimination, so for digestive system, bowel movements, if you don't have enough water, it's like flushing without water. Like, how do you flush the toilet if there's no water in it? It's not happening. So if you're constipated and toxins don't get eliminated, it's going to be very hard for your body to recover, because toxins are like in a closed circuit. So this is also a part that is sometimes forgotten, right? When we talk about hydration, oh, it's good for you, it's going to make your skin glow. I mean, yes, it's good, but is it really the thick of it? No, the thick of it is it's healthy. It's for your health and for your proper elimination. Any questions on water so far? I know it sounds like a very basic topic, but it's really important to understand why.
So does the 8 glasses of water every day, that kind of concept that we are being taught, is it still relevant?
Which one, sorry?
8 glasses of water.
8 glasses of water? Yeah, so in the following slides, I have a calculation method to know your basic level. So it's calculated on your body weight. So it's 0.033 times your body weight in kg, which gives you, for a 60 kg person, it's about 2 liters. Yeah. So this is an average. So of course, we live in a very hot country, very humid climate. We tend to sweat probably more than people in Norway or Finland. So we might need to adjust that. If you tend to sweat very heavily, or if you don't sweat at all, it's going to be different as well, even for the same body weight, right? So I tend to not sweat at all, but my husband would lose like 3 liters by running outside. So it's going to depend. So I replenish his electrolytes much more than I replenish mine. It's not that I don't work out. It's just that my body does not sweat that much. So I don't need that much. So 2 liters, 2.5, 3 liters is going to depend on how much you lose. But it's going to be very important to look at your electrolytes as well.
Sorry, so how do we do that? How do we know how much electrolytes to take?
So if you suffer from muscle cramps, water retention, if you feel like the more water you drink, the more thirsty you get, which is sometimes the case, it means that your cells are actually not absorbing the water properly because they are lacking those minerals that make the cells open to absorb the water, to get the hydration. So if you have any of those signs or symptoms, and if you don't salt your food, if you don't use salt in your food, if you use poor quality salt, so if you don't use unrefined Himalayan or Celtic sea salt, you're probably not getting enough electrolytes. Yeah. So it's more, I'm more going to look at it in a holistic way, as in the foods you eat, the type of water you drink, the symptoms you may have, and the type of salt that you use. If you use pure sodium, as in soy sauce, there is no minerals whatsoever in soy sauce. So I'm going to say, okay, you eat salty, like the taste is salty, but there is no other minerals. So you're going to be lacking those minerals because you lose them when you sweat. So you know by symptoms and by the type of salt that you use for cooking and for baking, and for even like I put sea salt in my drinking water. People think I'm crazy because I mean, you need to get used to the taste. It's a little bit hard, but this is the way that I just keep my. And sometimes I forget, and I see that my hands get a little bit swollen at the end of the day when it's very warm, it's very hot. Like my rings are tighter, stuff like that. I'm like, oh yeah, did I get my salt? Yeah, no, I didn't. So it's a good reminder for me.
And that's the body retention when you step on the in body and you see water level is higher. That's because your body retains the water. So that's why if you have a salt take in, so then your body doesn't retain the water, so then you feel lighter.
It's a little bit counterintuitive because we have water retention, so we think we have too much water, right? When you say water retention, you think I have too much water. It's more than that the water that you do have is not going in the right place. It's not going inside the cells. It's more like on the superficial, like around the lymph, around the dermis. And that's not the way that we want our water. We want our water to hydrate the cells themselves. And when we don't have electrolytes, this cannot happen.
200 plus is okay. 100 plus. 100 plus. Electrolyte drinks.
Okay, 100 plus is really something that you would drink for when you are doing exercise because it's full of sugar, right? So it's fueling your exercise. Or when you're replenishing after a very intense session, it's okay to have it like within the hour. But for day-to-day electrolyte replenishment, I would not recommend something that's so full of sugar. Yeah. So either Celtic sea salt mixed in water with some lemon juice for taste, some coconut water. So I mix coconut water, Celtic sea salt, and lemon. Yeah, it's odd, but it does the job, and it's cheaper than buying those electrolytes powders that are super expensive. But alternatively, I use electrolyte powders or mineral drops. So it's like a bottle of drops, and it contains all the minerals that you would find in mineral water that you would buy in a bottled water. You can buy just the drops, so you have your filtered water and you add in the drops so that your water is actually bringing you all the minerals from those drops. Yeah. Does this answer question? Yes?
So how much sea salt would you recommend?
How much sea salt?
Yeah.
When I do like a 500 ml, I put a quarter teaspoon of Celtic sea salt.
For pink Himalayan.
Yeah, but pink Himalayan, the content of minerals can be a little bit uneven. So that's why I usually recommend sea salt, unrefined. So it has to be unrefined. The color should not be white. If it's white, there's a problem. It should be gray. Yeah, because when it's white, it's been refined. Yeah. Okay. Rest. So rest, we covered it. We talked about proper sleep, proper restoration. It's very important for the nervous system, the digestive system, the muscles, the brain, everything in between. I'm going to talk about sleep a little bit deeper after that. Supplements is something we could talk about for 3 days probably, so I'm not going to go too deep into that. But some people for proper recovery will need to add some supplements to their routine. That's going to be supportive of either proper energy or proper rest or proper muscle growth, if that's one of your goals. It's really going to depend on everyone. So I'm not going to say everyone should take creatine, everyone should take BCAAs. Like, it's really going to depend on what your goals are and what your personal profile is. So I know it's frustrating and everyone would love to have like a cheat sheet, like take this and you'll be good. But I mean, if that were the case, it would be so simple. It would mean that every single human being have the same DNA and like we're all the same. Like, it's not the case. So everyone is different. So I cannot say which type, but most people would need at some point in their lives one or more supplements to support their recovery and their metabolism. The other part is nutrition, which we're going to talk about extensively because that's kind of the basis of what I do. And stress management is also a very big pillar that I'm going to cover in the coming slides. But I want you to really see and keep this image in your mind, like the strong tree does need those as its roots to be really resilient and strong. So nutrition is the foundation and is the foundation of your training. So I know if we have some trainers in the room, they're not going to be happy about this diagram, but that's okay. Nutrition is at the base of everything that you do, everything that you live, and the way that your body is either going to flourish, to prosper, or is going to be in a very hard space, is going to be under stress. That's going to be determined by your nutrition. So your recovery pillar is extremely important. And at the top, you have your training. So of course, I'm not saying training is not important. Training is extremely important. And it's going to be very hard for you to achieve your goals or to stay healthy longer if you do not train, if you do not exercise. So of course, training is important, but don't forget the pillars. And the pillars are your food. And when I say food, I include supplements and hydration, and the recovery methods that we're going to talk about today. So I've not published, but I have put some excerpt of two studies here. So maybe if you're far, you cannot really read them, but this is about relative calorie deficiency, calorie deficit in women and in men. And it says that 43% of recreational female athletes were not consuming enough calories to support their physical activity. 43%. It's a huge, huge number. It's about half of athletes are not eating enough to support their physical activity. We're going to see a little bit later on what does that mean and what's the impact on our body. Because all the influencers, like fitness gurus, bodybuilders, are like, calorie deficit, calorie deficit, calorie deficit. Sure, that can work for a few weeks. That can work for a few months. What's going to happen to your body after that?
It's not sustainable for a long time.
And that's going to create
Problems.
another problem that we're going to talk about. The other one is inadvertent calorie deficit in men. So 52% of recreational athletes, this one is for male, were inadvertently consuming 500 calories less. That's a lot. Like that's almost like a meal under what they were supposed to have. So when you don't pay attention to your nutrition, you could even though you are very well into fitness, into sports, you're really interested in that field, you could very well not be fueling your body properly. So I'm going to cover really quickly the macronutrients because everyone knows what macronutrients means. It's those three categories: protein, carbohydrates, fat. Does this speak to everyone? Yeah? Okay. So protein, of course, if you're a gym bro, you know that protein is the most important. Protein, get my protein shake. Yes, protein is super important because protein provides you with amino acids. Amino acids are the building blocks of each and every cell in your body. So if you don't have building blocks and you're trying to build something, so it's the same thing I tell to my fertility patients, you don't have enough protein, you're trying to make a baby. Like from what? From air? Like you need protein. You need to create something. If you want to grow muscles, you need to feed those muscles. But it's not just the muscles, it's every cell. Every cell needs protein. So having a sufficient protein intake is absolutely crucial for every health and wellness reasons, not just to lose weight, not just to build muscle, but for everything. For hormone health, for proper recovery, for sleep, you need protein for everything. So a basic calculation you can do is to aim for 1.8 to 2.2. So that's going to depend on your physical activity, your metabolism, your ancestry. So this range is quite large. So please check with your nutritionist or practitioner to see what is best for you. But that would be approximately 114 grams of protein per day for someone who's weighing 60 kg. Does the calculation make sense for everybody? Okay. So carbohydrates. Carbohydrates is so carbs, so glucose. You need glycogen replenishment when you do workout and also when you don't, because we use up glycogen as our main source of fuel, unless you're keto, and that's another conversation. But you also need proper carbohydrate intake for cortisol regulation, which is the stress hormone. I'm going to talk about that a bit later. And for sleep quality. The timing when you have your carbs also matters. The type of carbohydrates also matters very much. So I'm going to go into more detail later on. The type of fats that you're going to have and the quantity of fats will help with cell membrane integrity. So you remember earlier I was telling you that your cells could not absorb the water properly if you don't have minerals. It's the same if you don't have enough healthy fats in your diet. The cell membrane, so this phospholipid layer at the outside of each cell, is going to be compromised. So it's not going to do its job of keeping the outside out and the inside in, and it's going to have potentially effect on your energy creation and on many other health issues. Hormone production, so we need fats to be able to have proper hormone regulation and inflammation regulation. So fat is not evil, fat is not the enemy. It really, once again, comes down to the type of fat. So now I'm quickly going to talk about micronutrients. So we talked about macros, so protein, carbs, and fats, and now micronutrients. So these are the vitamins, the minerals, the antioxidants, the polyphenols, so everything else that you can find in your food or in supplements that your body needs to thrive. So I've only pointed out 4 main micronutrients here because, of course, all of them are very important, but for the topic of today, I wanted to talk about magnesium. Of course, you're all probably, who's taking magnesium here? Supplements? 1, 2, 3? Okay. You're taking it for sleep or for?
Glycemic, yeah,
for your sleep quality or for recovery?
Yeah.
Recovery. And who else? Yeah.
MSK Health.
What?
MSK Health.
Oh. Yeah, yeah. Okay. And you're taking which type, you know?
That's generic magnesium.
Generic. Okay, okay. All right. So magnesium is quite popular. Different types of magnesium will have different effects. So not all types of magnesium are created equal. And just going to Watson's and buying whatever magnesium might not be supporting your health goals, okay? I had a patient, I put her on magnesium glycinate because her sleep was very poor. She had trouble like falling asleep, staying asleep, very light sleep. So everything, the quality of her sleep was very poor. So I put her on magnesium glycinate, so the one that you're taking, for 3 months. And I, of course, sent her a link to the right magnesium to purchase. And after 3 months, she was like, no, my sleep is not getting better. It doesn't do anything. I'm like, okay, we're going to try something else. I mean, it happens. Like some people are more sensitive. So I'm like, okay, let's try something else. And then she said, I have terrible diarrhea every morning. I'm like, oh, wow, okay. Do you eat specific foods before you go to bed? And it's just in the morning and then the rest of the day you're fine? And she was like, yeah, I'm fine. It's just I go in the morning, like I have to run to the toilet. I'm like, wow, okay. So then I investigated it a bit more and I was like, so just repurchase the same one. We're going to try again, but with a higher dose. And she was like, oh, what do you mean the same one? And she actually took a magnesium that she had laying around in her cabinet for a year or something, which she didn't know what it was. And she sent a picture to me and it was magnesium citrate, which makes you poop. And she was taking high dose. She was taking the dose that I gave her for glycinate. So, so it gave her diarrhea for 3 months. I mean, I'm laughing, but it's not funny. But then I realized now she's fine. So she switched to the proper form of magnesium that I did recommend, and she ditched that other one, and now it has improved her sleep and everything. But I'm always citing this example because when I recommend some type of thing, like it's not just because, right? It's because I know this one does this. And it's like you went to the doctor and he gives you a medication and then you go to the pharmacy and buy something else. Like, okay, but then don't expect things to get better, right? So it was a little bit like that. But now she learned, she really follows my links. But yeah, it's funny. So just to say that every supplement is created different in the sense of quality, purity, but also the form. There are so many forms. Magnesium in itself, I think, has 9 or 10 different forms of magnesiums. So you need to know which one you need. And it's the same for B12. It's the same for iron. It's the same for zinc. So if you don't know what you're needing, what you need to take, if you don't work with a professional, it can be challenging and you can be like, oh, it doesn't work, like I'm just gonna ditch this. But it actually needs a little bit more research than that. Sorry, that was a long take on magnesium. B vitamins are also supportive of all type of energy creation. So B vitamins are B12, B9, B6, B5. So all the Bs and folate are going to be in that category.
I think is it better to have a blood work done from your doctor and they can also find out what's lacking in your blood?
Yes, ideally I would have a blood test for my patients first before supplementing them, because it gives you a clear picture of what the deficiencies are. But some nutrients cannot be tested for. Some nutrients we don't know. What you can test for is iron. Everybody knows that. B12, folate. You always have to test those 3 together. If you test just for iron, it doesn't make sense, because high iron, but anemia symptoms. So if you're very fatigued, lose a lot of hair, are cold all the time, depressed, cannot get out of bed. I mean, all of these symptoms that are linked to anemia, they look your iron, they see your iron is fine, they're gonna be like, oh, it's not anemia. But B12 and folate deficiency can mask iron, can mask anemia. So you need to always check those 3 together. Otherwise, just don't do the test. It doesn't make sense. You can test for magnesium. You can test for copper, zinc, calcium. You can test for D3, and you should test for D3 because the levels of supplementation that you're going to take for D3 are going to depend on your current levels. So you need to know how much your D3 is. Yeah, that's pretty much all you can do in a regular blood test here. You cannot taste for vitamin C, for example, because it's a water-soluble vitamin. So it means every time you eat vitamin C, like you eat an orange, it goes through you, your body uses up what it needs, but then you pee out everything else. So it's water-soluble. So it doesn't really make sense to test for vitamin C. You just need to make sure that you have regular intake of vitamin C-rich foods. Zinc is another very important one for tissue repair, collagen synthesis, and immune support. I mean, during COVID time, everybody was like, take zinc, take zinc. So that's why. But these are the ones I would focus on for recovery and for overall wellness. Any questions on those micronutrients? Sorry, I'm rushing a little bit. Yes.
Yeah, what is the brand of magnesium glycinate?
Okay, so it's not a brand, it's the form. So you should look for magnesium glycinate, Glycinate. Yeah.
You can go iHerb and you can find
Yeah,
it.
on iHerb, you can. I usually buy the Seeking Health brand, Seeking Health, and if it's not available, I take the Life Extension brand. Yeah, these are the two that I like. Okay, so now that we're covering the basics of nutrition, I just want you to have a clear idea of what protein intake should look like for you. Okay, so if you are an omnivore and you can eat animal-based protein, I would recommend complete sources of protein, such as eggs, fish, poultry, grass-fed meats, and organic, if possible, dairy. For the plant options, you have tempeh, edamame, lentils, hemp seeds. Pumpkin seeds are a great source of protein for vegetarians. And other protein combinations. So protein combinations would be, lentils with quinoa or things like that, so that you would have a complete protein, although that's kind of out of the question now. Hemp seeds, you cannot buy them in Singapore, so that's also a shame because that's the protein that is most well recognized by our body in terms of DNA. So, but it's considered a drug here. So of course, quick options, you can have some Greek yogurt, cottage cheese, protein powders. Be very, very mindful of the ingredients and the certificate of analysis of your protein powders. They need to be checked by a third-party lab for heavy metal contamination, especially the plant-based protein powders. They are very, very laden with arsenic, cadmium, or some other heavy metals. So you need to check for the COA, Certificate of Analysis. If the company cannot provide that, then I would not buy from that company. Functional fats. So omega-3s, everybody is familiar with the term, I'm guessing. Wild salmon, sardines, anchovies, herrings, like all these fatty fish contain the right types of fats that your body needs to thrive. Now, in terms of saturated fats, you want to look at avocado, olive oil, coconut oil, nuts and seeds. Nuts and seeds are so easy. You can have them in your purse to snack on. You can top your salad with nuts and seeds. Like, it's just, you can add it to sweet, to savory. It just matches everything, right? So nuts and seeds are your best friends. The best thing to do is to always look for a mix, like a combination of nuts and seeds, not always eating almonds and sunflower, for example. Mix it up because they all have their different mineral profiles, so they bring something different to you, right? Strategic carbohydrates. So when I say complex carbohydrates, it's the opposite of refined carbohydrates. What is refined? It's like the salt. What is refined is white. White rice, white sugar, white pasta, white bread. Everything that is white flour, is going to be simple carbs. Simple carbs should be very minimally used, unless you're a very high activity athlete and you need a lot of carbs and you need a lot of fuel. Otherwise, I would focus on complex carbs, which are already providing a very good amount of carbohydrates to fuel your body, such as sweet potatoes, quinoa, oats, fruits, legumes, so beans, pulses, chickpeas, lentils. So you should have a higher carbohydrate intake around your workouts and very moderate at other times. So when I say around, it's before and after your workouts. In terms of fiber, what does fiber mean for you? What do you think of when I say fiber? Vegetables, yes. Main source of fiber, yeah. Fruit, yeah. But also nuts and seeds, fiber. Whole grains, lots of fiber. And complex carbs, lots of fiber. If you eat sweet potatoes, you see the fiber in sweet potato, it's very fibrous, right? So all of these are going to bring you a lot of fiber, and fiber is good for you. Fiber, think of fiber as a broom. So the fiber of the broom, and it's sweeping your intestines. Between every meal, it's sweeping out and it's cleaning up your intestines. So you need a lot of fiber. The goal is 25 to 35 grams of fiber per day. And I know everybody might be like, okay, I have no idea what that is. But basically, you need to have some type of fiber at every meal. So whether it's wholemeal bread with some type of nuts and seeds inside that you're going to have with avocado, and then you're going to have capsicum on the side. So all of that is going to bring you fiber. And for each meal, you're going to think, what brings me fiber? What brings me protein? What brings me fat? If you have those, you're good, because that means everything is covered. Everything is going to be covered if you have those three. Hydration strategy, so that's the one I was talking about earlier, the calculation. So 0.033 times your weight in kg is going to be your minimal water intake. Electrolyte, I think we've covered that extensively already. And beyond water, you can have herbal teas, bone broth, which are very rich in mineral too, especially if they're homemade. You can also infuse, is this a word? Put some herbs in your water bottle, like basil, or some cucumber slices, some strawberries, like to make your water more interesting, because I know some people have a hard time drinking plain water. So this could be also a good tip for you, or even a splash of coconut water to your water if it makes it more interesting and more fun for you. Any questions?
So is fruit juice considered healthy?
No. No, fruit juice is basically sugar.
It's fresh juice.
Yes, because you've extracted all of the sugar from the fruit without eating the fiber, so you're leaving that fiber away, and you're drinking all of the sugar. So I'm not saying never have fruit juice. Like if you love it, okay, you can have it like a few times. Like it's fine, but it shouldn't be considered a source of proper hydration. It should be considered dessert. Fruit juice is like dessert. It's just sugar. So if you want that as your, I don't know if you have daily dessert or once a meal, I don't know. Pre-workout, but it gives you a good glycogen, right? Good sugar.
Add some salt in it, then that's your electrolyte as well.
You can add some salt to it, but just don't see fruit juice as, even if it's fresh, it doesn't replace water. Right? It's not replacing water. It's a bit like the 100 plus, right? It's very, very sweet. So if it's to fuel your workout and you rely on it for your glycogen stores, then sure, why not? But it's not water, right?
How about if you blend it, like together with fiber?
Together with the fiber?
Extracting the juice?
So you're thinking more like a smoothie maybe.
Yes.
So smoothies in general are a little bit better in terms of the impact they're going to have on your blood sugar. It also depends on with what you're going to combine those fruits. So if you only put, I'm going to say the worst one, like mango and, I don't know, pineapple and like all these sweet ones, and you don't add any greens to it, you don't add any extra fiber, extra fat to it, then it's just going to be still very, very high glycemic load smoothie. But if you combine sweet fruit with some berries, with some, I don't know, spinach, a little bit of almond milk, a little bit of nuts and seeds in the mix, you're going to make it a very rich meal, because for me, that's no longer a drink, right? That's a meal that is going to bring you some fat, some fiber, a little bit of protein, a lot of antioxidants, a lot of vitamins. So yes, if you keep the fiber in, even if they're blended, they still have some effect on blood sugar. So that would be a way. But you can taste, right, when it's blended versus a fruit juice. One is much sweeter than the other, right? So yeah, that's also an option. But for me, in that case, that would be more like a meal or a snack rather than a drink, right?
On carbohydrates, right?
Yep.
around workout time. So is it like within 1 hour?
That's exactly the topic of the next slide. Good transition. Thank you. So this is an example timeline. Of course, it doesn't have to be your exact timeline, but you need to start the day with a protein-rich breakfast within an hour of waking. Yeah, within an hour. That's for most people. Some men and very few women can do fasted workouts. Very few. Most people should eat within an hour and should not do a fasted workout. So I'm sorry if that's against your schedule. Balanced snack around 9:30 if you feel like it. If you feel like you have a drop in energy, you should have a balanced snack around 9:30. Then your full meal, if you woke up at 6:30, should be around 12 or 12:30. Protein, fat, and fiber. Protein, fat, and fiber. I want you to go to bed tonight and be like, protein, fat, fiber. Like, this is the only thing you remember from tonight. Protein, fat, fiber. Okay, then if let's say your workout is at 5 p.m., you will have a pre-workout snack around 3 or 4 that contains protein and carbohydrates. Okay, so around 1 to 2 hours before your workout. And then if you had a very intense workout, you can also have a post workout snack, like within an hour, 30 minutes to an hour after your workout. You can have your balanced meal in the evening, not too close to bedtime. That's very important. And if you are someone who's having very light sleep, trouble sleeping, or you're constantly waking at the same time during the night, I would suggest a stress-reducing combo around bedtime, which is protein and some magnesium. So some type of protein before going to bed and some magnesium. Because you might be waking up because of a blood sugar roller coaster. It's the case of many women. They are in hypoglycemia in the middle of the night because they starve themselves during the day. And then it wakes you up, raises your cortisol, and it's very hard to go back to sleep. So I would suggest that if that's the case and if you're having trouble sleeping. If you don't, then just don't think about this one. What did I not talk about? Carbohydrates and protein. Yeah. Pre-workout, post-workout, recovery window. Okay, I think I covered everything here. Protein, fat, fiber. Okay. Okay, everyone.
So BFF,
PFF, yes, PFF. Okay, any questions on this slide?
Sorry, because I'm an office person, so what do you suggest I should eat at 3 p.m. if I'm not working out?
Oh, if you're not working out, nothing.
3 p.m. because I was still,
Oh, you-
but I feel hungry.
Oh, you feel hungry? Okay, so then I would go for a protein and fiber snack. So I would go for like celery with hummus, for example,
Okay.
or apple with cottage cheese. Yeah.
Okay.
celery, peanut,
Celery, peanut butter. Yeah.
and in the log.
Yeah. Yes, and log, yeah.
Fruits is okay to eat during this.
If you want to have fruit, you need to pair it with some fat and some protein. Yeah. If you have fruit on its own, it's going to just be a sugar spike, and then you're going to crash 1 hour later. Yeah. So fruit in itself is not evil or anything. It's just you need to combine fruit with some type of protein and some type of fat, right? So maybe hard-boiled eggs with the fruit or cheese or, yeah. Make sense? Okay. Any questions? So now this is a topic that I think you know we were going to talk about tonight. It's stress. And stress has a very high impact on your recovery, on your health in general. But what I want to be very clear about is that stress is not just something that happens in our head, right? Stress is not just, oh, I have so much to do, I can't sleep, my daughter is so annoying, she did this and that. Like, stress is not just that. Stress can be from physical stressor. And when I say physical, it's overtraining can be a stressor. Exposure to harsh temperatures, so very low and very high temperatures, is a source of stress. Any type of physical pain is going to be a source of stress. So if you have any injury or any chronic inflammation, it's going to stress out your nervous system because it's constantly sending signals that you are not safe and that there is a potential danger around you. It's the same for temperature, it's the same for environment, it's the same for pollution. So if you live in an area with a lot of pollution, or if you live in a very noisy apartment, for example, it's always noisy, you cannot rest properly, this is a source of stress. So all of that is going to compound into increasing the stressors in your life and is going to increase overall the production of cortisol. Everyone familiar with cortisol? Or do you want me to remind you? Okay. So when our brain detects a stress, I'm going to take this example because it's very popular right now. Ice bath. Who tried an ice bath before? Me. Yeah, okay. So only men and me? Like, ladies, you left me alone in this. Okay. So an ice bath is exposing your body to a very, very low temperature, right? What does it do? What does it translate into for your brain? Your brain thinks, oh my God, I'm going to freeze to death. Basically, if I stay in this for an hour, I'm going to die. That's basically what could happen. The translation of that is, okay, I sense a stressor. I'm going to translate it in my brain, send a signal to my adrenal glands that sit on top of our kidneys, right here, right? Adrenal glands are going to produce either adrenaline or cortisol. These are the two main stress hormones. And they're going to ramp up some mechanisms in our body. They're going to send a lot of blood to our muscles. Lots and lots of blood. Because we are under stress, we are in danger. Maybe we fall into a frozen lake. We need to swim quick to get out of here. So all the blood is going to go to the extremities. Also, it's going to completely shut down some processes such as the digestion, hormonal system. Like, these are not priority. We're trying to survive here. We're trying to, not die. So digesting is not a priority right now. So this is going to shut down this. So this is a few of the things that do happen, like your heart rate is going up, your brain is a little bit like focused on only one thing, and you cannot, wander in your mind because you're focused only on that stress. These are some of the things that your body triggers when it receives a sign of stress. So that's okay when it's an ice bath because it's a controlled thing. It's maybe 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and then you're done. You go back home, you rest, you're warm again, you relax, you have a nice meal, and it's done. But the rest of all the stressors in our lives, notifications, work, emails, family, neighbors, I don't know, like whatever you want to say, all of these stressors, they never disappear now, right? How many unread emails do you have in your inbox? I have 234. Like, it's never going away, okay? So the stressors nowadays are not the same stressors that our body was made to respond to, and it's never actually decreasing. So when we are in a state of constant and chronic stress, this puts the adrenal glands here in overload because they have to work basically 24/7 to respond to stressors. They were not made for this. They were made for, oops, I fall into the lake, I need to get out of here, I need to go back to safety. They were not made for 24/7, oh, I turn on my phone, oh, they're annoying me again, like my boss is harassing me, blah, 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 blah. It's not made for that. So what happens is that we can go into a state of what we say adrenal fatigue or chronic fatigue or burnout. All of these terms are not medical terms. So if you go to a doctor tomorrow and you say, I have burnout, they're going to say it doesn't exist. Okay, so it's not a thing. But it is very much a thing in functional medicine, in integrative medicine. This is something that we have recognized and that we know how to treat. But we need to acknowledge the fact that this is a very real thing that is happening today. Can you all read the right-hand side? these are some things, side effects of chronic stress. And maybe by reading this, you see how this is important for a topic about recovery, right? Everything is linked to your recovery in that list. If it affects your mood and your drive, then how are you going to be able to wake up the next day and have strength for your next workout? If it affects your metabolic flexibility and it's harder to burn fat for energy, you don't burn fat, so you don't lose weight anymore. So the same workout patterns that work for you maybe 1 year ago, 2 years ago, you're still doing it and you're like, it doesn't work anymore. What's happening to me? It doesn't mean that your workout is bad. It means that you may be in chronic stress and adrenal fatigue. And that what you used to be doing is not responding anymore because your endocrine system, your hormone system is not the same as it was 2 years ago, because now it's completely depleted, it's completely fatigued. Does it make sense? So I'm not going to read all of that because there's a lot, but you can see all the impact that adrenal fatigue has on your metabolism and on your overall health and mental health as well. It's not just physical health, it's also mental health. And then you're in a negative loop, right? Because if your mental health is not there, it's very hard to find motivation to go out there and be, make the right decisions in terms of food. Because, when you're tired and you don't have energy, you just want comfort food. You just want quick burst of energy. You just want all the fried, like sugary things. Like, of course, and it's natural because the body is actually depleted and it just needs like quick sources of nourishment and of energy. Even though it's not the right nourishment, your body interprets it as comfort. Any question on adrenal fatigue, chronic stress, exhaustion?
So we gain weight because our body doesn't know what's happening.
Yep.
When you're eating, you're not knowing.
Cortisol makes you store fat and gain weight. Yes. Yeah. So even over-exercising can be a source of stress. So sometimes if you overtrain, if you over-exercise, you can hit a plateau and then start gaining weight. And I'm not saying muscle, I'm saying gaining fat because you are stressing your body too much. So it's about finding that right balance between recovery, muscle building, training, but also listening to your body and listening to your stress levels. If you've had a very, very stressful week at work, is it the right week to be doing, I don't know, a HIIT competition and a crazy like circuit workout? Maybe not. Maybe it's a good week to do Pilates or to go for a walk or to go for a bicycle. Maybe just listen to your body as well. Like, is this the right time for me where I am in my life right now to be doing this? Make sense? Yeah. So the toolkit, and once again, it might seem very simple to all of you. You're going to be like, ugh, breath work again. Oh my God, like I can't. If that's not your thing, that's okay. I just want to mention that it's one of the tools that you can implement. But what I want you to know is that you need to find the tools that work for you. So it's not me who's going to tell you, oh, you should do breath work. Like, no, if you don't like sitting still and listening to someone telling you how to breathe because it makes you anxious, then don't do it, of course. But mindfulness can be one. It can be writing down in your diary. It can be praying. It can be walking around, I don't know, walking your dog, and it just makes you zone out and be in the zone and just like passively just think about something else. So it doesn't have to look like what the influencers do on Instagram, right? It can be your own thing, but you need to find your space where you have that time to recharge, resource, and recenter on yourself and come down in your cortisol curve, like bring your cortisol down. So you need to have this moment during the day where you feel that your stress levels are actually coming down. So if it's taking a warm bath, I don't know, going to the sauna, doing like whatever makes you feel good, going for a massage, like it can be different for everybody. So I, of course, sleep pillar, 7 to 9 hours of consistent quality sleep It has been recently published that women need more than that. This study was done on men. So when everybody says 7 to 9, 7 to 9, 7 to 9, it has been proven that because of the cyclical nature of women and the fact that our hormones fluctuate so much, it requires more energy from our body, and we need around 8 to 10. That's actually the number for women is not 7 to 9. 7 is not enough for women. So breath work, mindfulness. If you have not tried, I suggest you try an app on your phone that prompts you to do guided meditation. Just try it once or twice. If it's not your thing, it's not your thing. That's fine, but you can try. Sunlight and circadian rhythms. If your sleep is very irregular, if you cannot have proper restful sleep, I would suggest to start with resetting your circadian rhythm. And that's also something you would do when you travel and you want to reset on the proper time zone. What would you do when you go, for example, to Europe or to the US? You would immediately adjust to the sunlight there, right? So you would go out if it's daytime, you would bathe in the sunlight and hopefully stay up until the sun goes down, and then you would go to sleep. Because that's how you tell your circadian rhythm and your brain, okay, this is now the new time that we're on, and you need to fall asleep when the sun goes down. There is a gland in our brain that is called the pineal gland, and it's linked to our eyesight. So our brain detects the level of light that there is around us, and it adjusts its circadian rhythm based on that wavelength, on that light. So if you get up early in the morning and you watch the sunrise, it's going to tell your brain and your pineal gland that, okay, this is morning, you need to activate everything now, get your cortisol up, get your energy up. And it's the same thing for watching the sunset. It actually also tells your brain and your body to start winding down, start calming down. So that's why the influencers all use, those red glasses at night. So it's to block the blue light, but it's also to put you in a sunset-like color and mood, so that it tells your brain that the sun has set and it's going to be bedtime soon. Pineal gland, so the gland I was telling you about in the brain, this is what dictates when melatonin is produced. So if this gland knows when the sun is down and when it's time to relax, it's going to start secreting melatonin. The blocking factor for melatonin to be produced is blue light. So blue light is perceived by your eye, that is sent to your pineal gland, that then tells the melatonin, oh no, wait, it's not time for melatonin yet. So then people go to bed and they're like, oh, I can't sleep. I've been watching my tablet for like 3 hours. So then you pop a melatonin pill and you're hoping for the best. But it's just like your body is just adjusting to whatever you're exposing your body to. Like you're exposing it to blue light, so it doesn't produce melatonin. It's just as simple as that. So blue light blocking glasses are a very good one. You can also set a special app that puts everything very yellowish on your screens after a certain time. Don't know if you've done that before. I think it's called night shift on the yeah, for me it's night shift, and it goes into like everything looks very yellow. So it's an automatic way of having less blue light exposure after a certain time. I set mine at 8 p.m. So at 8 p.m. everything looks yellow. Any questions on the recovery for stress modalities?
What if you can't achieve 7 hours of sleep? Does afternoon nap actually make up for the sleeping hours?
If that's a consistent thing that you cannot achieve, it's going to be very detrimental to your health in the long run. So you need to make changes to whatever is happening that prevents you from sleeping more. If it's consistent. If it's a one-time thing, like, oh, I couldn't get my 7 hours, then yes, a nap, like short nap, 20, 30 minutes, not more, could make up for it for that day. If it's consistent.
Or it's like become a habit that you...
If it's become a habit in the sense that you wake up at 5 a.m. and you cannot go back to sleep, I would get your adrenals checked, because that's probably not a good sign.
No, I mean talking about the afternoon nap thing, like
Even if you had a proper night's sleep?
yeah.
Oh, that's fine then.
Uh,
Yeah. Afternoon nap is fine, but the night sleep is where you get the most restorative for your brain health and cognitive function, and also other organs. So you need to have at least 7 hours for men. But if you want to have an afternoon nap, that's fine.
It's fun. What about those people who say we can't sleep more than 5 hours, or 5 hours is what I need?
Yeah.
It's been glammed up like that's.
I would have a full thyroid and adrenals panel done on these people. Yeah. I mean,
Men and women.
if they're super healthy and they've been like that their whole life, it could be a genetic exception, like it could be, but I would still check a few things, to make sure that nothing is out of balance.
And for me, it's hard for me to fall asleep even though I try everything.
Yeah.
The whole room dark,
Yeah.
magnesium, lights off in the bedroom at 10:30 in the bed. My deep sleep comes at 4 or 5 a.m. Then I'm waking up at that time.
Oh wow.
To the gym.
Okay.
So I'm never getting a deep sleep.
Yeah.
But only on the days when I don't have an early client or on the weekend. So I look forward to Sunday. And
Yeah.
Saturday, exactly. So I can wake up at 7 or 8 a.m. I'm good to wake up.
You're getting your deep sleep at the end of the night.
Yes. It's always been like that.
Always. Okay. That's interesting. I would probably look at other supplements for you then than magnesium, because magnesium is good for keeping you asleep, but having the best restorative sleep, I would probably look at one or two others.
If I tested with Apple Watch, so my deep sleep would be for 1 minute or not more than 2 minutes. I never had.
Wow.
And once my husband said, okay, try melatonin. I was wide awake for, did not sleep awake the whole
Yeah,
night.
some people do very poorly with
9
melatonin.
hours,
It's
zero sleep,
it's not for everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I would look at some deficiencies. For example, B6 could be one. But I would also try some for you. I mean, I don't know your case, so I don't know, but probably L-theanine would be a good one. Yeah, but of course I would need to know more, but yeah. Okay, so let's go. I don't know. What time is it?
7:46.
Okay. Can you all stay, or do we need to rush till the end? Because I think this one. Oh yeah, I need to talk about this really, really quick. Undereating is also a very big stressor. So it's something that, of course, I cannot give basic recommendations here to everybody because everyone has different needs. But making sure you work with a professional or you have someone supporting you in assessing your needs for having proper caloric intake corresponding to your physical activity is going to be very important. That's something that I see almost all the time, especially in people who try to lose weight. It's counterproductive to not have enough food. It's going to make your body store more. So I know it's kind of counterintuitive to understand that, but undereating so widespread. And even if you think that you eat enough or that you're fine, I would look at your food journal and I would probably be like, okay, you need at least one more snack during the day. So undereating is a big one. Low carb, low fat, I think I can skip that.
It could be choices of the food if you're having. Let's say if your food is very high fat and then you think you have eaten little but your calorie intake
Yes.
is over, that's why you're not losing weight. So that's why it's good to have your own journal, what you're
Yes.
eating. Write it down every single thing, what you drink,
Yeah.
what you eat. Then from there you can calculate your macros and you know
Yeah.
where you're going wrong. Then from there you can
Correct.
start eating mindful.
Yes, because it can be deceptive, right?
Exactly.
A full bowl of broccoli is going to be 40, 50 calories, but you're going to be so full after that, right? So you might feel full, but it doesn't mean that you have proper nourishment for your body. right?
In a simple way of looking, one curry puff would almost give you same calories as having a 2 eggs with 1 toast. So which is healthier for you, curry puff or the one healthier option, the 2 eggs, which is 12 grams of protein,
Yeah.
and then 1 toast will give you around 20 grams of carbs. It's a very wholesome meal, and if you have a whole wheat bread, then you're getting a fiber as well.
Yeah, it would be better to have wholemeal bread.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then you
Just
get
choices,
protein, and it
yeah.
gets you,
Good fats as well. From the
it
eggs.
gets you full longer,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, it's going to sustain you for longer. The caffeine and sugar cycle. So who relies on caffeine to get energy in the morning? 1, 2, 2. Yeah, I think maybe some people are not super transparent, but that's okay. So the caffeine and sugar cycle, how it works is that you have an energy crash, right? So you feel sluggish in the morning, or you feel sluggish middle of the afternoon. You're like, oh, I need a pick-me-up. I need some sugar, or I need some caffeine, or both sometimes. So you go for that drink, or you go for that super sweet snack. Then you get a burst of energy, because what does caffeine do? Caffeine presses on your adrenal glands to release cortisol. Not the best option. Sugar is giving you a burst of energy because it's quick fuel for your body. So it's going to, on that time, it's going to give you very quick, very fast energy. But what's going to happen, it's going to be followed by a crash. And you're going to be hungry like 30 minutes, 45 minutes later, and you're going to need another snack. And then you're going to feel like very moody, very angry, because you go up and down, like, don't talk to me, I have this and that, like, and it's going to be like that for the whole day. So caffeine and sugar, for me, are in the same basket, I mean, as far as this is concerned, because they're going to provide a very quick fix for a long-term problem. And they're going to be followed by a crash, inevitably. Like, there's a crash coming after that. So, of course, I understand some days you need that coffee because you need to get through that day. But think of having your protein breakfast on that day. Think of having your fiber on that day. Super important. Even though you need to have that coffee, don't start coffee on an empty stomach. Have your protein breakfast first, and then you can have your coffee. Never have coffee after 2 p.m. You have decaf or have something else. No coffee after 2 p.m. If you have trouble falling asleep, no coffee after noon, 12 noon. It's going to have, for some people, it has a half-life of 11 hours. So it means 11 p.m. you still have caffeine in your blood. So you don't want that. Fasting, any questions on fasting? No? Okay.
I want to ask about the intermittent fasting. Yeah, so it's like a very good way of losing weight. How they say it's I think healthy to diet in this way.
Yep.
Yeah.
So intermittent fasting, there's a few different school of thoughts. You have the 12-12 methods, you have the 16-8, you have the, okay. For women, I would not go above 14 hours of fasting for various reasons, but the main reason is that fasting is a stressor. Fasting is sending a signal to your nervous system, to your brain, that there is not enough food around you. There's no food. I'm fasting, right? So what does it do? It translates into there is scarcity. There is not enough for everybody, or there might be something going on around me that prevents me from reaching food. So it will increase your stress, and it will potentially, down the road, make you store fat more easily. So yes, intermittent fasting has been all the rage in the past 10 years. Intermittent fasting has been studied on men, healthy men, 20 to 40. That's who it's been studied on. For women, very controversial because of hormones, because of stress, because of thyroid. We are different beings. So I'm not saying it's bad and you shouldn't do it. I would not go beyond 14 hours of fast for women. for all these reasons. Yeah.
And the other thing is also the reason for you people do intermittent fasting, not eat. Okay, avoid. But what happens the time they have given, they eat more than what they're supposed to. You have 2 meals to consume your full day of protein, full day of carbs, and the fat. How are you gonna do it in 8 hours? So it's rather you balance your meals and 3 to 5 meals portion for the day, and then eat proper and healthier, mindfulness, rather than going and staying hungry and then not achieving what you're looking to achieve.
Yeah, I would focus on having consistent meals at consistent times to send your body that message of safety. When your body feels safe, nourished properly, nourished enough, it's going to ditch that cortisol hormone. It doesn't need it. When you don't have high cortisol, your body is going to be okay to lose the fat because it's not in survival mode anymore. It's like, oh, I'm fine, I'm safe, there's enough food. Okay, I can maybe lose some fat. I'm good. So I know it's a little bit counterintuitive. I understand where you're coming from, but it's also, we need to look at it in the way that men and women are different ecosystems, right? We work differently. Yeah. And even for men, I have men who do intermittent fasting, but they are in high, like CEO, CFO jobs. They have very high stress, like crazy stress. They sleep 4 hours a night, and then they do intermittent fasting. And then they have to go meeting to meeting and business trips. And they're like, I'm not losing weight. I'm like, dude, your body thinks it's gonna die. Like you're sending so many signals that you're in danger. Your body cannot take it anymore. So of course, you shouldn't intermittent fast. You shouldn't cut your calories. You should eat a lot of protein, a lot of fiber, a lot of veg. You should eat more. But he's so stuck in this like 80s and 90s mode of thinking. He's like, no, I need to cut my calories. I'm like, there's nothing I can do for you.
The calories coming from alcohol.
Yeah, a little bit too. Yeah, that's true. So your body is your long-term investment. This is my conclusion slide for today. You need to really, I mean, if you're here, I know that you pay attention to your health and to your body and to everything, but think of it as in a more holistic way, in a more holistic view, and try and support it the best you can. But listen to your body. Listen, what did my week look like? What did my food intake look like today? Should I adjust a few things? Should I adjust my workout today because I didn't sleep last night? Probably. Like, of course, it's good to be consistent and to have a routine, but it's also very good to remember that we are human beings. We are not machines, right? We need to work with what we have, and what we have is cycles, hormone fluctuations, stress fluctuations, sleep fluctuations. We are not the same every day. So, and it stands for men too. It stands for everybody. So we need to work with that and to invest in that. So I have a question for all of you. From everything we covered today, can you pick one thing that you're going to change today or tomorrow maybe, but that you're going to start changing or doing differently tomorrow? Sleep? How are you going to achieve sleeping more? Are you going to change the time you go to bed? Yeah? Earlier? Okay, you are going to try and achieve 8 hours? No? 7.5? 7? Oh my God. Oh, really? Wow. Okay. Well, small steps. It's okay. If it's an improvement, it's already going the right direction. Cool. Thank you so much for sharing. Anyone else decided on changing something tomorrow? More protein. Yeah. PFF, protein, fat, fiber. Protein, fat, fiber. Okay, who else is going to change something?
I will do the same as her, but I'll go for 8.
8 hours.
And then I'll have to cut down the blue light.
Yes.
Yeah,
the Facebook.
yeah. Try to set the automatic night shift mode on your devices, or buy those specific. It's not the regular spectacles. It's those orangey glasses that make you look like a hippie. You can try those.
I'm gonna share for lifetime because being mom, now working, moved to Singapore, or I'm from Canada as well. So
Oh, really?
23 years in Ottawa.
Ottawa. Oh, sweet.
So always have a TV in the bedroom. From 50-inch to here in a small apartment, 65-inch TV in the bed.
Jesus
My
Christ.
husband, so thank you so much. He never said anything. He will go to sleep and I'm watching new TV because I can't sleep, so I have a TV on.
Oh my God.
So now, when I opened the gym 4 years ago, I decided I'm gonna work on my sleep because everybody's saying sleep is very important, sleep is very important. Okay, let's work on it. So I have an alarm on my phone, 10 p.m. My phone turns off. And then TV is out from the bedroom. Whatever I watch in the living room, then I turn off my TV and everything, 9:30, go to my bedroom, turn on the aircon, close all the lights, even the dimmest, like a red light, I put a sticky on
Yep.
it or put a towel on it.
Put a sticker. Yeah.
Zero light in there,
Yeah.
fully dark. Trying to do everything possible to get more better sleep. My husband is sleeping very well with all those things. And I see those are the little things that I'm trying. Some days good sleep, some days are not. But I've changed my life for the last 4 years. So it's working.
Amazing. Thanks for sharing. Thank you so much. Anyone else wants to share a little change they want to implement tomorrow?
No TV or no phone.
No? Nothing?
Question.
Yes.
So I'm a healthcare professional.
Yeah.
I'd like to ask regarding research regarding ketogenesis diet.
Yeah.
So I think it's quite controversial
Yeah.
out there, and there are two extreme teams whereby one is good, it's not good, and it's not sustainable. What's your take on that?
So the keto diet, everyone is familiar, or should I quickly go over keto? So keto diet is basically low carb to zero carb diet. So you would focus on protein and fats, if I make it super simple. As a holistic nutritionist, I would answer that cutting out a whole food group from your diet is not a solution to anything. Reducing some types of carbohydrates for whatever purposes that you have in terms of health, wellness, physical fitness, I would say yes, because that's already what I teach my clients, right? To cut out like the very processed, highly processed carbs, everything white, yes. Going full on keto, I don't think is sustainable in the long term, and is going to create potentially some calorie deficiency or overall deficiency in terms of fiber, because you're going to have to eat a lot of veggies, and it's going to be hard to stay in keto if you eat a lot of veggies. So not enough fiber, lots of fat, lots of protein can be damaging to your kidneys, can be very hard for your colon if you eat a lot of animal-based protein and not enough fiber. In terms of colorectal cancer risk, I would not be super optimistic. So for a very short period of time, why not? For some specific types of profiles, why not? But in general, especially for women, cutting out a whole food group, I would say no. Yeah. Okay, if you want to follow me on Instagram, this is my my handle, so core.holistic. And I also made a special QR code if you want a 15-minute personal introductory call with me. You can book it here. And I'm also at the Integrative Medical Center in River Valley, Valley Point. I have flyers here about, we do iron infusions. So for athletes or people who have very low iron because of very heavy flow, heavy menses, we do iron infusion with the clinical doctor there. So I'm gonna leave the leaflets over there if you want to get more information, or come see us at the Integrative Medical Center. And that's it.
Valley Point, yes?
Valley Point, yes, Valley Point, River Valley. And thank you so much for taking the time on your Tuesday evening for listening to me. I hope you gained some insights, some tips. Yeah? Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you.